Now that you have your idea for your game outlined, it's time to get started. So we're going to go to arcade.makecode.com. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you bookmark. Mine's already bookmarked, so my star is filled in. If you haven't done that, click it and make sure you have it saved. Once you're in, you're going to click Sign In, and you're going to need to make sure you remember me and log in with Google. Click through and continue. Now that we're in, you're not going to see all these things that I do. You're going to start with a new project. And you can give your project a name. If you know the name of your final game, great. If not, you can just call it my arcade game. And for code options, we want to make sure we have blocks as an option. This is the one I typically use because it lets me see how it would convert to JavaScript or Python. Now I'm going to create. So before we start making the game, we're going to start with our assets. Notice at the top we have blocks, we have JavaScript and Python, and we have assets. So I'm clicking on assets. And you have this big giant asset gallery. You have things like backgrounds, and then you have things like sprites. Sprites are the individual characters that might be in your game. Okay, so I could go in and choose a background. I forgot to mention, you have this colors area. Colors will let you choose a palette. That palette will be part of your entire game. So if you're making something fun and colorful, the arcade palette is perfect. Don't have to change a thing. If you want to have something that's like more spooky, you might go for steampunk or grayscale. Notice what steampunk looks like, more dark and muted. Grayscale is black and white. There's lots of different options. I'm going to stick with arcade. So I can just do that and close out. And now I can go in and I can either create new assets or I can copy them. So if I want to create a new asset, this lets me say I want to do something from an image, a tile map, an animation, or a song. For the most part, we're sticking with images and tiles. Save tile maps for a future project. You won't have enough time this trimester. So I'm going to click image. So to make a new asset, I'm going to click the plus sign. Once I'm here, I see I can do images, tiles, tile map, animation, and song. We're looking at image and tile. You won't have time for a tile map or an animation. You may have time to do something with a song, but let's focus on these two for now. So if I click on image, this is going to be for a sprite. So if I want to have something like a pumpkin, I could start out and do something that's just like a shape. Oh, I better change my color. Okay, so I have this really basic shape, and actually I'm going to undo it and make it more centered. And if I need to, I should be able to click, oops, and move that. Okay, so that doesn't look much like a pumpkin, right? So if I go to my paint bucket, I have that. And if I want to give it something like, I don't know, little eyes, oops, do a pencil. You get the idea. And I could add some kind of a little handle. Okay, that's kind of pumpkin-y. So I'm going to go down here and give it a name. And done. So now that's in my assets. So that's how you make an original asset. If I go to my gallery and say I want to have kind of a spooky scene in my background, I could take something like this and then I can duplicate it. So I have it. And now I should be able to go in and edit. And I can go in and make it darker. So I'm going to use my paint bucket. And maybe I want to do like purple where all the beige was. Notice this is an adventure in pixel art. So if I want to make it just how I want, I'd have to go in and fix all those little pieces. I'm not going to take that time in this demo, but you see the idea. And once you're happy with your image, you can give it a title like Spooky Woods. By the way, I did a lot of zooming to be able to zoom in to see where all those little pixels were. Otherwise, it drives me crazy. Okay, and notice I kept it default. I didn't change these numbers. Now we're going to click Done, and we're good to go. So I've got my pumpkin, I've got my backdrop, and let's see, my pumpkin has to keep away from a little ghosty. So let's go in. I'm going to go to my assets again, click Image, and let's make a simple ghost. I'm just going to use my pen, and let's see. Nothing too fancy. And then one, oops. 1, 2. Okay, so ghost. All right, so you get the idea. At this point, I have my assets and I'm ready to share. So I click here, arcade game, share project, and I copy, and this is what I turn in Google Classroom. Let me know if you have questions.